Hey everyone, this is me on the absolutely not immediate post-game reaction for the game that we played last night. Sacramento Kings were in Utah and Utah won 104 to 102. It was a really crazy game, and for most of the night when I was able to check on my phone or on my laptop, I had to rewatch the game when I got home. But I was so disappointed in the Jazz. They were down 13. Well, it wasn't even that they were down 13 in the fourth quarter. The entire game leading up to then, they were playing really poorly. They were playing below their ability, and especially to a Sacramento team that only has 3 wins. Like, yeah, Sacramento beat the Lakers, but that doesn't magically make them a great team. And I'm going to go quickly here because I have so many other things to do today. The beginning, it was not a good game. Sacramento, their starters against our starters, they went on a 7-0 run, and then later on in the same quarter went on a 12-4 run. This is against our starters. And our starters for that night were Marvin, Al, Paul, Randy, and Mo. And after both teams went to their benches in the first quarter, our bench guys, they went on a 9-2 run. So that got us back in the game after the starters, really started off quite sleepy. Like, they sleepwalked for the first quarter. Then in the second quarter it started, our bench went on a 5-0 run. And then, it's not like, oh, well, we're down 4. It's like, okay, we're right in this. We can do this. Both starting units went back into the game to end the second half, to end the second quarter, and they kind of went back and forth, and it was a 1-point margin after 2 quarters were in. So starting halftime, all right, we're at home, we're down 1, got to put our starters back in. They got to really step up because they're more talented than Sacramento. Guess what happens in the third quarter? Sacramento starters go on a 10-0 run against our starters. So, like, this is not good basketball. And this isn't, oh, I hate the starters. Just listen to what's going to happen here. Man, my cadence is just like Karl Malone right now. It's so frantic. It's hilarious. Okay, so the bench gets back into the game, and Utah is down by a significant margin. It's not out of the way, but it's still there. So it's our bench against their bench. And in this case, the bench gets hammered. Sacramento goes on an 8-0 run against our bench. And then, of course, Twitter explodes. The young guys are just no good. Oh, of course they're no good. They're really bad players. See, this is why they don't start, which is hilarious because the starters, they gave up a 7-0 run, a 12-4 run, and a 10-0 run. But the bench doing an 8-0 run against them, even though the bench previously this game had gone on a 9-2 run of their own and a 5-0 run on their own. Oh, the bench are really bad. So anyway, here we are in the fourth quarter. The bench just blew the game open. We're really bad. The bench is so bad. The young guys are horrible. Should have never drafted them. We're down 13 points. Tyrone Corbin has to mix and match already because Mo Williams got injured in the second quarter. And we ended up going on an amazing 7-2 run to steal the game away from, a sure loss. And this is why I hate the idea that, oh, it's the bench versus the vets who are starting, or the vets versus the young guys, or the established Utah Jazz players, people that we drafted versus the guys that we signed as free agents or traded for this offseason. There shouldn't be this dichotomy between, different aspects of our team. The fact is that we won this game as a team with all different parts coming together. Who was on the court during that 17-2 run? It was Big Al. Obviously, he's the main man down the stretch. And then it was Favors and Hayward, 2 young guys who we drafted. And then it was Marvin, a guy that we traded for this offseason, and Jamal Tinsley, who was our third-string point guard, who played with the team last year, but he was like a filler guy, like, oh, well, we need a third point guard, so let's get Jamal. So that's who it was. It was Jamal, Gordon, and then Marvin, Derek, and Al. And that's a complete mix of all of those different categories. Veterans versus young guys, new guys versus previous years Jazz players, and starters and bench guys. And they got the job done because they worked together. They played defense, and Sacramento kind of, they had a few boo-boos on their own end. And we won. We won, and we won together. And that's like the most amazing thing. Like, this could be one of those turning point games down the season. Like, oh well, if we blow this game, people get upset. We go into Sacramento, which is tonight, and we lose, and people start pointing fingers. Whereas this, like, oh well, our starting point guard, our leader goes down, and we still hold it together even though we were down 13 points in the fourth quarter, and we win this game. We win this game with the defense. The Utah Jazz with defense. Like, this is an important game for us, and I'm really happy that we won. Looking at the stats, there were some pretty crazy things happening in this game. The thing that really stands out to me out of everything was the fact that the benches were both nuts in this game. And I wrote this in the game recap on SLC Dunk that their bench, they had Marcus Thornton and Jimmer Fredette. Those guys had 28 points, and they went 6 for 8 from 3 off the bench. These bench guys were absolutely torching us. We had no answer for them. Along the same lines, our bench, we had Gordon and Derek, and they came in and they played quite phenomenally. They played quite well. English is a very tricky language for me. So anyway, I think the benches are going to come up big tonight into deciding what's going to happen. I will say that Jamal, 12 assists and 1 turnover. It's absolutely fantastic. He makes it work. Special shout out to Earl Watson, who came back from rehab, all summer long. He was working with the young guys, Cantor particularly, and he adds a different dimension to the team. They run things a little bit different with Earl on the court than they do with either Mo or Jamal. And a really interesting point that we have to mention is Al Jefferson. Al Jefferson was super efficient. He didn't take a ton of shots, but he shot 54% for the game, 53.8 or something like that. The important thing is that while in the first half the other team was going on all these runs, he wasn't really getting it done on offense, but he absolutely stepped it up on offense in the second half. I think he ended up going, in one quarter he went 2 for 3 and 3 for 4 from the free throw line in that quarter. I think that was the fourth quarter. He also had a few rebounds and steals and stuff. But in the third quarter, he went 3 for 4 or 4 for 5 or something like that. So he only missed one shot in each of the other 2 quarters. He was really cooking on offense. He had a points per shot value of 1.88, which is way higher than not only, the NBA over the last 20 years, their average point, well, they're not average, but their actual points per shot value is 1.21, and he was at 1.88, and that's even much higher than him. For his career, I believe he's 1.12, and this season he's been at 1.05 or something. So he really stepped it up on offense. That doesn't mean that he gets a free pass for playing very poorly on offense in the first half, and on the other side of the ball, he was not playing any defense. I know that we see little signs of improvement, but guys were just getting open dunks around him. Like, it was not good. Whereas you have guys like Favors, who plays defense all game long, and Hayward, he had the game winner. I didn't even get a chance to mention that, but he actually had the game saver a few times on transition defense. He stopped 2 or 3 sure buckets by coming back on defense and challenging. He didn't get the block each time, but he made the guy miss. And if he didn't do that, no one else was hustling back to play defense. So, yes, he got the game winner, but it also prevented the margin from being even larger by playing defense. So, Gordon, keep it up, man. And kind of a downer, Paul Millsap was nowhere to be seen in this last game. Hopefully he gets a little bit more playing time and production tonight. You can't go the entire season without Paul Millsap doing great things for us. He's that important to the Utah Jazz. Nobody else on the thing tonight because I couldn't do it last night because I was at work. So we're doing this now in the middle of the day. We got Utah at Sacramento tonight, and we're going to have a full roster of people going over the game with the immediate post-game reaction. Thank you for watching, and remember today is the Guess the Game Score contest, so please tweet at SLC Dunk or go to slcdunk.com and go to the website. There's a page there in the story streams for putting in your predictions. All right, thank you so much, everyone, and go Jazz, go!